Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm coming at you with another episode of Jump Force Origins. As we know, Jump Force is a game celebrating 50 years of Weekly Shonen Jump. And what we do here, we take your favorite character and we look at the character's ability, history, and legacy to Weekly Shonen Jump. And with that said, the character we'll focus on in this video is the main protagonist of Black Clover, Asta. Black Clover is a manga series that started in Weekly Shonen Jump in 2015 of February. And it's by Yuki Tabata. I think I'm pronouncing it right. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And the thing with Black Clover, and the same thing with My Hero Academia, they kind of introduced like a new era of Weekly Shonen Jump, right? Because for the longest time, the big three were Bleach, One Piece, and Naruto. Not exactly in that order. If it was in the order it should be, it'll be One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. And those three right there were really like the big three for Weekly Shonen Jump, right? They're the big head honchos, and they're probably the most popular series they had that ever came close to Dragon Ball. When I'm talking about worldwide appeal, especially Naruto here in the West and One Piece worldwide. And while Bleach sales started to dip as the series went on, it was still vastly popular. And with those ending, right, Naruto and Bleach ended, Weekly Shonen Jump needed mangas to fill those shoes, right? They had, really popular manga like Gintama and stuff like that, but they need those mangas like those battle shonen to really fill in the shoes. And that's why I feel like Black Clover and My Hero Academia really stepped in, and that's what they were looking for in these series. Now, when Black Clover started, it did get some criticism because it has a lot of similarities to Naruto, and that's probably like the editors stepping in and say, yeah, put this in, because they know that Naruto just ended, and they probably want to keep that fan base of Naruto reading Weekly Shonen Jump. But I feel like in the last 4 years, Yuki has done a good job of writing his own story with Black Clover, right? Especially Asta as a character. One of the things I like about Black Clover, and I realized this when I reread it before doing this video, is the world that he's building doesn't revolve around Asta's backstory. While Asta is the main character and the vocal point, that's because he is the main character, but they're not building the world over his backstory, right? Things are not happening in the world because Asta's backstory or wherever he came from or however he got that demon inside him. Yes, we know he has a demon inside of him, and it's probably the first demon that the first ever emperor, the wizard emperor, defeated, but it doesn't look like they're building the world off of him. And I like that about Black Clover. From the moment we're introduced to Asta, he said that he wants to be the Wizard King. Now, the Wizard King is the strongest magical knight in the Clover Kingdom. Sadly, Asta has no magical abilities, and in the world of Black Clover, you're only worth as strong as your magical ability. So for him to want to become the Wizard King is an odd dream for him to have. And even though people tell him to give up, what Asta did is that he trained his body to peak capacity, his strength, his endurance, his speed. He trained that every single day because he know in some way he had to make up for his lack of magical abilities, and that all comes into play and in his advantage as the series goes on. Him having that strength, him having that speed, that endurance, and things like that. So Asta is looked down upon a lot in Black Clover because, one, he is an orphan and he grew up outside of the Clover Kingdom, and he has no magical ability. So once a year in the Magical Kingdom, what they do, they have a award ceremony, right? They go around and every 15-year-old comes to a award ceremony, and they're supposed to get their Grimoire. Now, what a Grimoire is basically a spellcaster book. What it does, it allows spellcasters, the magical knights, to cast different spells, and it amplifies their powers. Well, initially Asta didn't get a Grimoire, which makes sense because once again he has no magical abilities, and these things come to people who show great strength in having mana, right? But eventually he does unlock his Grimoire while protecting his friend, and this becomes a key note to Asta's backstory and his abilities as a character. And what this Grimoire is, it does anti-magic, and it gives him an anti-magic sword. Now, this is the first time we're introduced to the Demon Slayer sword, and Asta is able to summon this through his Grimoire. And what the Demon Slayer sword is capable of doing, is capable of cutting through magic, and if you hit his flat side, it can reflect back magic. Asta's Grimoire is anti-magic, and we see that Asta's Grimoire has 5-leaf clover. Now, each clover represents a virtue of life in a Grimoire, and that would be faith, hope, and love. And a 4-leaf clover obviously would be fortune, right? They say if you find a 4-leaf clover, you're lucky. And Asta's Grimoire has a 5-leaf clover, and the 5-leaf represents the devil. So from early on in the story, they kind of showing that maybe he has some like devil ability or some type of demon inside of him, because his Grimoire represents 5-leaf clover. We then go to the Magic Knight exam, and what the Magic Knight exam is when the 9 organizations of the Magical Knights in the Clover Kingdom, they go to the exam to examine new knights and to recruit them into their organization. Now, there's 9 organizations. We're not going to go over every single one, but there's one important one. The one that gets Asta in the group is called the Black Bulls. Now, the Black Bulls are looked down upon. They're not really respected as an organization. That changes as the series goes on, but Yami ends up picking Asta because when Asta uses his anti-magic, his grimoire, in the exam, people are kind of wary of it because they never seen it anywhere before, so the captains don't pick him, but Yami ends up picking him because he finds him unique. As the series goes on, we start to see Asta grow stronger, and we start to see the fact that he has no magical abilities becomes a huge benefit to him. One thing I really want to go over is Ki. Now, Ki in Black Clover is a person's natural energy, and it's separate from mana, which is their spellcasting energy. And what Ki allows you to do, allows you to predict a person's attacks and movements, and only a handful of people in Black Clover are able to sense Ki. And you can see how this is a huge advantage for Asta, because Asta is a close counter character, right? He uses his sword to get up close, and with him having the ability to predict other people's movements, it allows him to get ahead of his opponents, because most people in Black Clover don't have the physical abilities that Asta has. They don't have his physical speed or his physical strength, because he trained his body to be that way because he had no magical abilities. As we know, with Asta's Grimoire, it allows him to summon swords. Now, looking at Jump Force's gameplay and screenshots of Asta, we only see his one sword, and that is the Demon Slayer sword, but we're still gonna go over the 3 swords that he uses in Black Clover. Now, we talked about the first sword that Asta gets, the Demon Slayer sword, early in the video, and how it is able to cut and deflect magic, but also the sword is very big, so if anybody else try to pick it up, they probably won't be able to use it to the full capabilities that Asta is, because Asta is very strong and they don't have his physical capabilities. The second sword that Asta is able to summon is the Demon Dweller sword, and like the Demon Slayer sword, it is able to cut through magic, but this one, rather than deflect magic, it's capable of absorbing magic, and he uses this a lot with his teammates. And as the series goes on, you start to see him use both the Demon Slayer sword and the Demon Dweller sword at the same time, which is why I find it odd that in Jump Force he's only using the Demon Slayer sword. Asta's third sword, which he only got recently, is called the Demon Destroyer sword, and like the previous swords before it, is able to cut through magic, but also is able to absorb magical effects. So for instance, if someone's under like a sleeping spell, if he touches them with the sword, they wake up. Something like that. Now, before I go into what I think Asta's moveset will be in Jump Force, I want to talk about his transformation mode, which is called Black Asta. Now, when it comes to Black Asta, this is the biggest comparison you can make with Naruto. It's actually pretty one-on-one with Naruto. So in the beginning of the manga series, it talks about how the first Magic Emperor defeated a demon from humanity, right? He protected humanity from a demon, and that same demon, the same remnants, the same bones of that demon can be found in the same village that Asta grew up in as an orphan. Now, we don't know if that same demon that they talked about the first emperor beating is the same demon that is in Asta right now. Us as fans, we don't have all the clues. We're just connecting the dot as the series goes on. They even do the whole thing of him going unconscious and talking to the inner demon inside of him, and you know, he says the stereotypical things like you're not strong enough, you're weak, just how Naruto is. And I assume that's like the editors coming in and saying that you had to put certain elements from Naruto to, you know, probably appease the Naruto fan. And I can't really complain because it's working, because I read the manga, right? Naruto's my favorite manga of all time, and I read this manga, so obviously I can't complain about something that is obviously working. Once again, we don't know why Asta has a transformation, and as the series goes on, obviously they are fill in the blanks, and as fans, all we do is have assumptions and some clues. Now, how did he learn to tap into this Black Asta mode? We end up learning, and what happens in the series that eventually Asta gets a curse put on his arms where he's not able to use his arms properly anymore. He's not able to pick up a sword, and you can see how that's a big deal because that's the only way he could fight, because he can't use magic. So they find this queen called the Witch Queen, and what she does, she uses this blood magic. She puts like her own blood in his body to release a curse, and she didn't really do this out of the goodness of her heart. She had her own intentions to actually take control of his body, and obviously that doesn't work out. But what it does, it using this blood magic, it ends up like releasing the shackles on his body, and he learns to tap into that anti-magic energy inside of him to the point where he can use his transformation 2 times a day. Now, this Black Asta form has all the stereotypical upgrades, you know, increased speed, increased strength, and to quote the GOAT, I'm gonna assume this is not even his final form. Obviously, we won't see that in Jump Force, but in the manga, I assume this form to change in some way because only partial of his body is covered covered in anti-magic. The reason I went over Asta's transformation mode, Black Asta, before I got into what I think his moveset is going to be is because they go really hand in hand. Now in Black Clover, Asta has only really named 3 moves, and that is the Bull Thrust, the Black Meteorite, and the Black Hurricane. Now out of those 3 moves, we only seen 2 of them in the trailer, which is the Black Hurricane and the Black Meteorite. The Black Hurricane obviously being a special and the Black Meteorite being an ultimate, and as we know in Jump Force you have 3 specials and 1 ultimate. What he does with the Black Hurricane is that he quickly goes into Black Asta mode. He covers his Demon Slayer sword in anti-magic, and he basically spins around in a tornado, and he sends out anti-magic, also hurling towards his opponent to do a multiple hits. And what he does with the Black Meteorite, this is a move he first used when he did his Black Asta transformation, is that he hits the opponent into the air and he flies at them with full speed and he hits them with his sword. Alright guys, that's gonna be the end of this episode, Jump Force Origins. And if you're new here, please hit that sub button. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. In the comment section, let me know, are you looking forward to using Asta? Will Asta be on your team? And also, would there be any abilities that Asta has that you want to put on your avatar? Which is really weird because we haven't got confirmation that our avatars could use any type of weapon, so I wonder if we can even use his abilities in the game. And also in the comment section, let me know who you would like to see a Jump Force Origin video on after this. Now, I'm probably going to work on the next Jump Force Origins video by the time this is uploaded, but I will look at any recommendations for the video after that video in the comment section. So once again, peace, deuces, and all the above.